Okay, so, here we go. There were some pictures. I believe I took a picture on Instagram. And yes, One Lonely Farmer on Instagram. And you could see that the 7410 was torn apart. And I've had a lot of questions as to what had happened to the 7410. So, here it is. It was spring. This past spring, we had a bit of an accident with the 7410 going down the road, and the spikes drifted down, stabbing into the road, and then in turn breaking the spikes off, shoving it through the fuel tank. There was a fuel spill. Hazmat had to come out and cost me a bunch of money because apparently the insurance policy that I have does not cover fuel spills on roads, only in the fields, which is kind of ridiculous. But, you spend millions of dollars a year on insurance and they don't cover anything anyway. But anyways, when that happened, it actually was so violent that it cracked the housing for the radiator, and it was leaking, and I threw some stop leak in there, and we've made it through the summer until this point, and now it just seemed like the right day to change out the radiator. That radiator I bought it when the problem had happened, and of course, it's like, well, all right, what do you do? Do we continue to work? It's not leaking, or do we change it out right away? No, it was working just fine, so we let it go. But anyways, it's kind of snowing crappy out this day, and I said to Cody and Tim, let's get that radiator changed out because you know what? It just has to get done. The engine was warm, not hot, but it was warm, so it's easier to work on a warm engine than a freezing cold one. I mean, if you've ever worked on equipment in the wintertime, that cold steel will just cut right through your gloves and your brains and all kinds of things. So what we did was we pulled the air conditioner condenser out, or radiator for the oil, and it's oil and air conditioner, exposing the radiator, obviously, and I had Timothy blow it off because there's a lot of dirt that gets packed in there. These units are all together. There's the mounting pieces. It's what me and Tim and Cody are taking off right now, but they're all one unit. That tank, as you can see with the new one, there's a brand new tank, and it's got brand new everything. The foam, everything is brand new on it. And they're really designed to change out pretty quickly. It took a little over an hour to do this entire job from start to finish. We did have a little bit of a problem. I had new hoses and everything, but we did have a little bit of a problem with a hose. I don't know why, but it was leaking from the top, and then I thought it was on the bottom, but it wasn't on the bottom. It was at the top, and it was running down behind the hose where I couldn't see, and then bubbling up, and ended up cutting the hose, shortening it up. It was the only hose that I didn't have brand new. I cut the hose, I slid it on, retightened the hose clamp, and it was still leaking. So we kind of fought that for a while until Tim's like, you know what, Dad, I think there's some liquid coming out of the top. And of course, I put my finger around the backside of it, and it got wet with the 50/50 antifreeze mix that we had purchased to put in there. Always buy the 50/50. Concentrate and 50/50 are about the same price, but unless you have distilled water, you really need to use a 50/50, because if you don't, it'll pit the liners in your engine and stuff, and it's just a good thing to do. And there's Timothy blowing off more shit from the radiator and stuff. We did have an issue with the fan. The fan clutch is actually shot. Didn't realize that it was shot until after we put it all back together again. And if I'd have knew that it was shot before I put it all back together again, I would have bought a new fan and clutch altogether and had that issue straightened out. I had changed the belt after the incident that had happened, but now you can see that I have Cody blowing out the AC condenser and the oil cooler part of the thing, and he's just blowing it out. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And that little blue coffee can has grease in it a graphite-based grease, which we were coating all of the hardware. We were putting everything back together with, so that the next time I have to tear this thing apart, it comes apart a lot easier. Because you know what, things on this tractor, let's face it, this is a 1990, I think it's a 1997 or a 1998 7410. It's one of the early ones, and there's just rusty stuff in there, especially around the front end where all that dirt and dust get collected. There's no oil up front there, but you get hay, and then it rains or whatever, you get water down in there, and of course it'll start to rot stuff. But honestly, everything went together pretty smoothly, other than that hose issue. I do have to order a new hose for that one hose. The intake and the inlet and outlet of the radiator, those are brand new hoses, but the one that comes off of the tank, that's the one that was causing me trouble. So it's like, God darn it. You can see I'm coating nuts or bolts and stuff, and just doing everything to make it easy to tear apart the next time. I think John Deere, Case, New Holland, whoever should coat their stuff with Never Seas, or at least a graphite-based grease anyway, because it just makes sense. We're all the time twisting stuff off, but the oil cooler went back in, and yeah, so things are coming together pretty good. Oh my goodness. I actually ran out of battery at the end of this video and was unable to, show the final steps of putting the hood and everything on. But it started up and ran. Did you see that? Timothy blew dirt in my face. Wasn't that nice of him? He just loves me so much. It's unbelievable. But anyway, we're just doing our thing here. A lot of people are asking, what am I going to do with the 7410 when I put a loader on the 8120 or the 7810 or whatever tractor I put a loader on? The answer to that is I'm going to do the same thing. The only difference is I'll probably take the loader off of this one and use it a little more in the fields for, say raking and stuff, because it is a very efficient tractor. It rides good. It's versatile. It's small. You can bale hay with it, which I've done many times in the past. So it's really a good versatile tractor. It takes some of the pressure of the loader off of this thing. It does have somewhere around 15,000 hours on it. The little pickup that comes off the camshaft has decided to stop functioning, so I should probably buy a new one of those. And what that does is lets me know the RPMs of the tractor, and it runs the hours meter. So without it, I can't tell how many hours are on the tractor, but it stopped working a couple of years ago, and it's only showing 13,000 some odd hours, 13,700 some hours. But yeah, so actually when I put the loader on that 8120, I'm going to pull the interior kit out of this one and put a brand new one in, so it's a little more comfortable and a little less work on the air conditioner to cool it off, because as those interior kits do fail, things get hot and from the sun and just regular heat, and they are actually insulation. So if your insulation is gone in the winter, it's going to be colder, and in the summer it's going to be hotter, and we do have it running right now. What I did was I actually shot seafoam into the turbocharger, which you didn't see. But what that does is I shot the seafoam into the turbocharger. That's why it's smoking like crazy. And then you shut it off and you let it set for about, I let it set for about a half an hour or so before, maybe it was closer to an hour by the time we put the hood and everything on. Then we started the tractor up, and it just loosens up some of the carbon deposits that are on the valves and stuff, and that's what seafoam does. So the tractor's running wonderfully. It's actually running a lot cooler now, even though the fan clutch isn't working. But I guess that's it for the video. I've yammered on for almost 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. The 7410 is back in the field now, running perfectly. Have a great day. Don't forget to please comment, rate, and subscribe. And check out Ag Talk in the Raw. The link will be in the description below.